All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, continuing our Saturday Night's Main Event review series. It's going to be Saturday Night's Main Event 24. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, man. Let's jump into this. This was a really good one. This was on Halloween night, originally October 31st, 1989, but this aired 2 days after Survivor Series, November 25th, 1989, which is kind of cool because the Brainbusters were already fired before they even wrestled at Survivor Series. And I remember this one vividly because, real quick, I remember whatever I did as a child, I got grounded. And I knew the Saturday Night Main Event was going to be on that night. And for whatever reason, I couldn't watch it. So I had put a towel under my door so they couldn't see the glow of the TV. And I had the volume down to like 5 as I watched this. And I remember this to this day because this was the night of what Perfect did with the Busters, what happened to them. I mean, this was one of my favorites.
That's
So
fine, man. You do what you got to do.
yeah, I wasn't missing Hogan trying to whoop the hell out of the Genius, but that never happened. So this was in Topeka, Kansas. Vince McMahon along with Jesse the Body Ventura. Let's get going. The opening match for the Intercontinental title, it was the Ultimate Warrior defending against a grimacing Andre the Giant.
Yeah. They showed a little bit of the backstory too, how Andre had attacked
from
him.
Back in the summer, yeah.
He had I guess Bobby Heenan was distracting him outside the ring, and then Andre came and then he attacked him.
That was always the good stuff back then on Superstars. When Warrior beat one of the jobbers, and he took them over his shoulder, and he brought them back to the behind it. I always loved that. And then when Heenan gets in his way, just flips him right over.
Flipped him right off.
Here comes Andre.
I like the Warrior promo though. Cut the Warrior. Was this the opening? This was the opening match, right? Yeah, the Warrior for the opening match. They started off the program hot. I love the Warrior's promo, man. When he's like, he said he has no fear. He's like, fear. And he's there, like, and he starts flexing. This is, as a kid, man. This doesn't get better than this, man. You know, and you wanted to see him fight Andre. We had already seen Hogan fight Andre, so we were looking forward to this match. And Andre getting a shot at the IC title too.
Unfortunately, if you caught Andre during the, see, I paid attention to Andre when Heenan was talking, and Andre was kind of like, he's trying to hold himself up. This is really at the point that he's deteriorating.
Yeah, but how about him walking up the steps to the ring and Bobby had to help him up there? Yeah, he, like, was on Bobby's like.
Yeah, this one was bad.
Yeah,
there was I knew it wasn't this night, but I don't know if you ever heard the story that I believe it was a house show that Andre was facing the Warrior.
Yeah,
and he told Warrior to slow down. And Warrior just kept going back and forth like a rocket. And then Andre just had to put his fist up to kind of stop Warrior in his tracks to slow it down because he couldn't do the fast pace. And this one, Warrior, you could see was a little bit more not his normal running around all over the place. He kept it one-on-one with him, close, bear hugs, chokes, stuff like that. Because Andre couldn't move around the ring as good as he used.
Unfortunately, yeah, he could barely move, and I felt like
a year ago these two would have tore the house down.
Yeah,
if this was the end of '88.
And I wonder, I mean, because Warrior slammed him on the house shows.
Yeah,
he body slammed him. But why not slam him on Saturday Night's Main Event? Why didn't they let him? They should have let him slam him.
That's what I was wondering.
Andre was trying to help get him over. So I don't know why they didn't do it. Maybe Andre wasn't feeling good that night, didn't want to take that bump. I don't know, but we should have seen it. Because I'll tell you what, I didn't know. As a kid, I didn't know that Warrior even slammed him. I didn't find that out until watching it on YouTube. I didn't know.
Because unless you went to the actual show itself.
Yeah, we never saw it.
You didn't know what happened on them.
Yeah, I always wondered too, could he do it?
Because they never show you on Superstars the highlights of what happened from the previous house shows. They just would announce it and tell you who's facing.
I thought the match was okay for what it was. I thought it probably went on a little long considering Andre was,
7, almost 8 minutes.
Yeah, Andre was, not in good shape. So I
thought he gets involved, which ends it in a disqualification. Warrior keeps the title, and then obviously, this stemming technically, if you look at it, this is supposed to be 2 days after Survivor Series, but we know that they're actually going to Survivor Series with this match.
Right, the teams,
yeah. So I tried to look at this like, okay, this is just 2 days after Survivor Series, not at Halloween night.
Right.
So anyway, after this match, Jesse the Body Ventura interviewed the Genius, followed by Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Hogan, because now you've got Hogan defending the WWE Championship against the Genius, and this is what I had talked about in previous episodes, just the too many we haven't finished one feud, and we're going on to multiple ones. You had DiBiase. Now you have him in with Genius and Perfect. Yeah. Savage is still to come in main event 3. I mean, they were all over the place at this point, and I mean, I didn't really care for this match because.
I mean, it was entertaining though. I thought the Genius was funny. I was never a fan
with all the gallivanting around the ring.
Yeah, he's doing. He's stretching. He goes with the left hand to try to shake him. And he's like, no, he's too smart for that.
The one thing I did like was when Hogan started making fun of him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought that was cool. I mean, Lanny Poffo was always a good wrestler, but when they put him into this character as the Genius, I was like, I felt like it was an insult.
No, I mean, I took it as kind of like a comic relief character. I saw it for what it was.
I mean, he was good in the corner of the Genius. Corner of Mr. Perfect. Yeah. Once they put him with the Beverly Brothers, I was like, all right, he's got to go.
Yeah.
I mean, this makes no sense. And so, what made this match even more interesting is that Mr. Perfect comes down to the ring, and he's like, "This isn't the perfect belt." He sticks his gum on the belt. Hogan comes down there, pushing him. So, this was a 7.5-minute match. Hogan actually gets counted out in this one, so the Genius gets the victory here. And back then, as a kid, I'm like, okay, why is it Hogan having such a hard time beating this guy? Because I believe it happened again, I believe, on a Superstars, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't Genius, it was Perfect, where Hogan did get the loss again.
It might have been Perfect.
Yeah. So now I'm like, what are they doing here? And now you look back now and I'm like, oh, weren't doing anything. They were hyping a man up for nothing.
Pretty much.
So, but Perfect wound up coming back down again, stealing the belt, and we'll get into what he did later on with it, and became the hardcore title years later.
That's actually an urban legend. It's not.
It's not. Oh, it's not. I looked so much.
It's an urban legend. Yeah.
If you look at it when Hogan's holding it later on,
I looked it up. Somebody actually has that belt. Yeah, somebody actually bought that belt. Yeah.
I figured as much. I mean, why would they have held it all these years? But I mean, I know that WWE has warehouses where they don't throw anything out. So when they brought it out in '98, I always thought, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that
looks like the belt Perfect smashed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured. There goes that childhood thing of mine. In any event, on to our next match. It was Dusty Rhodes versus the Big Boss Man, and this was a feud that was stemming from July.
Yeah, they showed what had happened with Boss Man was beating up some jobber, right?
And then Dusty came out and took care of business. Stole the nightstick.
Right. You know what's interesting is that Dusty came out and he didn't have the polka dots. He had black trunks and a tie-dye shirt, and I'm like, they should just left him like that. Why put him in the damn polka dots?
I know.
Came out. I used to love Dusty. Used to just run out there and like. Dusty was cool, man. I like Dusty. He got a bad.
His promos were good.
Yeah.
It's just Hogan putting his moniker on somebody. Not Hogan. Sorry, Vince McMahon putting his moniker on.
And I think he wanted to stick it to him too. He wanted to stick it to Dusty coming over from the NWA. But then, like, why even sign him? I just never understood that. The thing was, like, I've heard from people.
This was Dusty's second stint in the WWE too.
Was it?
A lot of people don't remember that.
Oh,
in the
like
70s. Yeah, he wrestled there.
Okay. Under Vince's father.
He actually fought for the WWE title many times.
So it was the WWF.
Yeah, whatever.
Not EF.
No, not the EDF.
Yeah.
This was his second stint. Because that's why Cody always talks about how his father never got the shot, but at the Garden, Rhodes holds I believe he's holding the belt up. He won in a count out.
Oh wow!
Against, I believe it was Billy Graham.
Okay.
Billy Graham.
Yeah, I know that.
And that was the closest he ever got to it.
Yeah. I've heard from people like Pritchard, Bruce Pritchard, say, "Oh, he was too Southern or whatever." Like that's why. My whole thing is this: like as a kid, like I never looked at any of these. I looked at all of them as individuals. Like they were kind of like cartoon characters or comic book characters. Like they were all different. They all sounded different. They have different personalities. I never looked at Dusty like, oh, he sounds like he's from the South. Oh, he's so Southern. I looked at him like that was his character, and I liked that people were different. I don't know how an adult felt watching it. I have no idea. I can only tell you through the eyes of a kid at that time. I thought it was cool that Dusty sounded like that. Like it made him very unique. So this was, like you said, this was a good feud.
It was, and this was also, the start with Sapphire. She was down at ringside, of course.
She was a fan.
Just yet.
She was a fan, yeah.
And what's funny is this also kind of starts the Big Boss Man Slick outing. because at the end, the ending of this match, the Boss Man had asked Slick for the nightstick. Slick had gotten distracted by Sapphire all of a sudden, and Dusty rolled up Boss Man for the victory. And Boss Man got in Slick's face about where the hell were you to do your job? And then he turns to Sapphire and says, "You need to stay out of our business." And so they leave, and Dusty brings her into the ring to start dancing. And I thought that was cool. I liked it when Sapphire was with them.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that they took her off later on with DiBiase. That
didn't make any sense. That was so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sold out?
Yeah. And then the match between one-on-one match, a legitimate one-on-one between Dusty and Savage on a pay-per-view ended in like 2 minutes.
They set up Dusty to fail. They just set him up to fail. They did.
And this was his last hurrah because once he went back to WCW, he wasn't wrestling.
Well, then he became more behind the scenes.
Yeah, commentating also. And once in a while, he maybe had gotten in the ring. But yeah, this was pretty much it for him.
Yeah.
So once again, Vince does nothing with a NWA icon, Harley Race, and now Dusty Rhodes does nothing with them. So our next match was one of your favorites. It was the Red Rooster versus Mr. Perfect. This was a garbage match. Of all people, and they asked why. I think Ventura asked Perfect, why the Red Rooster? And I'm asking the same question.
Doesn't make it, and he comes out the genius too. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any sense. They stole Hogan's belt, and Hogan doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
They were right back in the ring. Hogan could have just ran down to the ring and beat the hell out of them. He doesn't do anything.
Nope. Didn't even go in the back to try to find the belt.
Right.
This was with the design change at the time, right? They would change
the
design.
They switched from the dual plated to just the solid gold. Because Randy
I like that belt.
Because Randy had the dual plated one, and then Hogan had the dual plated for a little while, and then they switched to solid gold. Yeah.
I like that. That was one of my favorite belts. But that and the one they went to, I didn't like when they changed it in '98 when they gave Austin the bigger one. I always liked one title.
Oh no, that's iconic. I mean, I kind of got used to the Big Eagle. But that one's the Winged Eagle is the iconic one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So this match to me was a stinker. 4-minute match, perfect plex. Obviously, I mean Red Rooster's just about on his way out. A few more months, and he's not gonna be here anymore. And Perfect is showing his undefeated dominance as he continues to go after Hulk Hogan. Now, this was the one I loved. The main event was a 2 out of 3 falls match between the Rockers and the Brainbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, like I said earlier, this was 2 days after Survivor Series. They aired this. They got fired before the Survivor Series had even technically had gone on TV.
Well, they didn't actually get fired.
Well, no, I mean Heenan firing them on character.
Yeah.
But at the Survivor Series, it was Blanchard because he failed the test.
He got suspended, and he was already on his way out anyway. So was
exactly. So it made no sense because this was pretty much it for them.
Yeah.
And you see the discrepancy in the interview. Heenan's pissed off. They lost the tag titles back to Demolition. He's like, you didn't listen to me. They're yelling at him. So they're going to the ring already pissed off. And it didn't help matters either when the first fall happened almost quickly that the Rockers got it. By this point, Heenan's irate. He leaves.
But you're still kind of like looking back.
Yeah. I thought he was going to, and I didn't remember this back watching it live, but I was kind of hoping even back then, I thought maybe he would. When they got the second fall, that maybe he'd come back like, oh, my team's got some signs of life. Right, then when they lose the third fall again to the Rockers, which they do, then he up and leaves. But during the match, he was interviewed and he said, I'm done with them. They're homeless. They're fired. I can't take it anymore. And, I mean, this was a pretty fast-paced match for 2 out of 3 falls, 7.5 minutes. And the Rockers won the first and third falls and, ultimately win the feud against the Brainbusters. But you got to credit the Brainbusters because that year they made the Rockers more of a better tag team than they ever were. And even to this day, Shawn Michaels will say, and Arn Anderson will say, they'll compliment and say they brought the best out of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. They always had great matches. Yeah.
So following that match was Perfect destroying the belt while Genius is over around and flopping, dancing around and stuff. And he's banging, beating the hell out of it. And then the best is Hogan holding it later on in his interview. Oh my
Lord. That promo, right, baby. He destroyed the belt, and
this is just material, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, you tell yourself that.
And then there was no real blow off. I
No,
mean, they fought on the house shows, which we really didn't see, right?
no. And then
And
the
then at
Rumble,
the Rumble,
they
yeah,
did, yeah. I mean, that was it.
that
This
was
was a
it.
feud that went nowhere, and you
Yeah,
thought that they were going to elevate Perfect, and they didn't. They
no, and
elevated
then
him to the IC title, but we've talked about that. Why,
just weird.
if you wanted to put the IC title on him, why did you have him lose to Beefcake at
It
WrestleMania?
didn't make any sense because like he was still undefeated, like he was technically undefeated, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he fought Beefcake, right? So Hogan
And he
didn't.
and he got pinned outright. So Hogan never really pinned Perfect.
Yeah, I don't. I'm curious. I never looked this up. I'm curious. I'm curious to see if Hogan pinned him on the house shows. I would imagine he had to have, right? I would guess. I don't know. Either way.
Unless it ended like the usual DQ countout
Right, yeah.
scenarios like they normally did. So everybody
Right.
saves face.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I thought this was it was pretty decent Saturday Night's
It
Main Event.
was
It was entertaining.
it was one of the good ones. Like I
Yeah.
said, Rockers stole the show. You had Warrior, you had Andre,
Hmm.
Hogan, and Savage's brother over there. I mean, it was good stuff.
Yeah, it was decent.
Except the Red Rooster match.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.